Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucci, here as always with my faithful canine companion, the boy.
Hey.
And this is the Two Nerds Podcast. Before we get started, let me remind you, if you could please, to like our videos, share them around the internet, and if you haven't already subscribed, that would be great. And the boy, why don't you tell the listener where they can find the awesome music in our intro?
Why, that would be Super Blizzard's Shining Was Auto Bandcamp page. The music's name is Let's Get Hardcore. It's our theme music, and he gave it to us for freezies, because he's a super great guy like that. Also, you can check out his video game stuff. Joylancer is amazing.
Yes, all of those things are true facts. And let's get right into the meat of today's podcast. You saw the title card, you motherfuckers. You know what we're talking about today. It's Fallout.
And I, for one, am super, super excited for this conversation. Partially because, get hype, motherfuckers, Fallout 4 has been announced.
Get hype for Hitball.
And partly because, since Fallout 4 has been announced, I have basically been doing nothing but playing Fallout games. Okay. So, I want to open with a story for you, listener. And be prepared, this might become the boy's story time for the next little while. When I was a young kid, 10, maybe 11, I was just getting to know my brother-in-law. Future brother-in-law at that point, actually. And he ended up being a really close friend of mine.
Wait, hold on. Your brother-in-law from the future?
Sure, if you want.
Okay, cool. Was he did he have that cool yellow jacket like Doc Brown does in that one Back to the Future movie?
No. He had the General Brown coat, and he was wearing a bow tie.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool, too.
Yeah. And, I ended up being very close friends with him. One of the things we bonded over originally was he introduced me to the Fallout games. Fallout 1 and then Fallout 2. I played 1. It wasn't as, it was good. It's just, then, before I beat 1, I started playing 2. I liked 2 a lot better. I ended up going through and beating 1 later, but the very first Fallout game I beat was actually Fallout 2. And it ended up being a real, point of camaraderie for us, and it ended up being something that I really enjoyed doing. I've beaten Fallout 2 maybe 6 times. So, when Fallout 3 was canceled, originally, Van Buren, that is, I was so sad, because...
Anytime anyone talks about Fallout Van Buren, I imagine Fallout where you're playing former President Martin Van Buren.
That would have been really cool.
Right? I know why, because what the fuck else is named Van Buren, but, I can't divorce this imagery from my head. I see,
Don't divorce it. Steer into this kid. That's amazing.
I see him in, power armor, Enclave-style power armor.
Martin Van Buren up in this bitch.
Carry on.
Shooting motherfuckers! I was very sad, but then Bethesda swooped in like the big damn heroes that they are and took over the Fallout franchise.
If I remember correctly, when Fallout 3 came out, you weren't even really aware. It just sort of was like, hey, Fallout 3's here.
And I went, so what? Because when Black Isle collapsed, I didn't think there'd be any more Fallout games. I didn't think I would be getting any more, so I just stopped following them.
Well, and, we weren't as saturated with social media and information flying around as we are today.
That's true.
G4...
You had to, fucking make time to search shit out.
G4 was in its strides, the video game channel that no longer exists. But it had already started to enter bro tier, where it stopped caring so much about video games and technology and cared more about what bro was up to.
That being cars, drugs, I think?
Action movies and stupid shit recorded funnily.
And Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, Ninja Warrior, which is just cool.
Yep.
So, we kind of went out to buy something else, and we also got Fallout 3 because you were like, this is a thing that exists!
Oh, we're buying it. And then we did. And I was so pleased, and it was a little different than the old games. It felt a little different. There was a couple things that were changed, but I didn't care. I was still happy. I was still happy to have this setting back, because I fucking love this setting. I love everything about it. I love the very Z-Rust style. I love the absurd jingoistic viewpoint of the pre-apocalypse American culture. I love the beautiful pastiche it is. So I enjoyed Fallout 3, and I'm going to speed up here because I also want to let sport talk, and I could just ramble on for an hour. Then New Vegas came out, and I was so much happier because New Vegas felt a lot more like a Fallout game to me. Obviously, it doesn't feel like mechanics-wise a Fallout game because the first two Fallout games, for any of the listener who doesn't know, were isometric turn-based games. And so the mechanics of 3 and New Vegas were very different, but New Vegas felt more like the setting that is Fallout. They've done a lot of really good work to help bridge the gaps and, integrate the two, but I am very much hoping that Fallout 4 feels more like New Vegas than it does 3. But that's just a very quick history of me with the Fallout franchise. Sir?
Mine is shorter. This motherfucker came home with Skyrim with guns one day, and I was like, alright, I'm down. Actually, at first, I was like, I don't know. Skyrim with guns, and he slapped me with the game box and made me play it. And he hooked up a Ludovico machine to my eyes.
I did. These are all things that are true. Yeah. That happened in real life.
And he wouldn't stop punching me in the kidneys until I vomited up love for Fallout.
It took a while, but I kept with it.
Sometimes when I pee, my kidneys still hurt.
Good.
No, I turned my mind around on it. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll give this a shot. And it's pretty good. I like it a lot, actually. And I like New Vegas better. I can't say it's because I was a huge fan of Fallout. I got into the PC gaming world, as I did with much culture, really late in life. But the PC gaming world, even later. So, I missed that big Diablo hump and Fallout and, the rig I was working with was in Windows 95 when it was in the year 2000. So...
Whereas I had because of that exact same guy, I had a very solid grounding in PC gaming. I hit a lot of the high points. Your Gates Boulder, your...
Now, I had Shadows of Amn, and I played a little bit of the Temple of Elemental Evil. In fact, I think I still have the discs for Shadows of Amn around here somewhere. But I never got far. I usually dicked around. I think we talked about in a previous podcast. I usually just dicked around with the editors and was like, yeah, this is neat. Neverwinter Nights as well.
Yep.
Every time I think about Neverwinter Nights, I get sad.
Why?
Because Neverwinter Nights 2 is the reason my name is no longer unique. I was on message boards that a comic artist frequented. And maybe this isn't the case. Maybe it has nothing to do with it. I mean, it's a pretty common... or rather an easy-to-make combination of words. But every time I Googled the name, White Raven, spelled the way I spell it, Wightraven, I only found me. Until that game came out, and there was a warlock or something named White Raven. And since then, there's a bunch of me. Still the only Eric J. Chucci, though, so there's that.
Well, your last name's real unique.
Yeah, if you're a Chuckie, you're related to me.
The boy turns up a lot of Google results, not many of which you want to know about, listener.
Most of them actually related to him. But back to Fallout. I picked up 1 and 2 from goodoldgames.com. I played through a little bit of 1, but that thing with the water purifier chip is starts out fun and then gets real not fun real fast.
Yes, that is the reason that I beat 2 first.
But I was really happy that I got to hang out with Tony Shalhoub.
Everyone should be.
And those graphics they're great. I mean, they're just wonderful.
It's a very stylized graphic.
It's very much a sample of its time.
I also that's the reason I played 2 first, and that's the reason it took me a lot longer to beat 1, because that first quest, the water chip, boy, does that take a little while. Yeah.
I like the game just fine, and I like, the new Bethesda games fairly well. Now, there's not much to say, so before we just start kicking around old Fallout gaming stories, let's actually talk about the forthcoming Fallout 4. It was announced last week by the time you listen to this, and confirming basically everything we already knew. Fallout 4 is happening, and it looks like it's taking place in Boston.
which is interesting. The Commonwealth and MIT are not things we've seen before. They've been mentioned. In Fallout 3, they were mentioned a little. I don't exactly remember if they were mentioned in 2 or not, or 1. But they were mentioned at least in 3, and they're a new part of the setting. I'm interested to see them. I am concerned that it's out east and not out west, because I like the western side of things a little more, because that feels more like Fallout to me, personally. Now, that's an entirely personal thing. I'm not saying the game is bad by any stretch of the imagination if it doesn't fulfill my personal desires.
Well, yeah, and Fallout 3 is a good game, and I don't think the issues with Fallout 3 were its setting. Because I still feel like, I mean, I don't really have a rock to stand on in terms of it feels like the old games, but the feel between 3 and New Vegas, the big differences for me were in gameplay stuff. You know, like the addition of the hardcore mode for the survival thing, the changing of some of the game mechanics, the map in general being easier to navigate, that sort of thing.
Those were all positive changes, you're right. Honestly, aside from the setting, I am firm in the belief that New Vegas was just a better game.
Oh, I agree.
But that's not to say, because the team that did New Vegas isn't the team that's doing this. The team that did New Vegas was the remnants of Black Isle, Obsidian. The team that did Fallout 3 is the team that's doing this game. That's not to say that's not to say it's going to be bad, or even because Fallout 3 isn't bad. Fallout 3 is really, really good. And I don't want to shit on this too much because I have barely seen anything. I've seen some pre-rendered cutscenes. Also,
I don't know if those are pre-rendered.
They're in-game engine, but they're not gameplay.
Well, yeah, that's fair. But because if those were pre-rendered, that dog should have looked a lot better.
That's why I say they're in-game engine.
Right.
But
I mean, the dog looked fucking amazing. And the human model was good for Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda, that's not their strong suit.
No, not their strongest suit.
They do dragons really well.
Well, in worlds.
Giant monsters and big sweeping vistas. People, little uncanny valley. Always has been, probably always will be.
Yeah, the kind of thing that 5 years, not even, 3 years after it comes out, you're starting to go, this looks not good.
I don't know if,
Hey, it's still better than Dark Souls.
You get a weird face. But, anyway, I've only seen the various little bit. There is one thing that is not concerning at all, but is a departure for Bethesda, a departure for Fallout, and is something I'm actually a little hopeful for. I think the main character is going to have voice acting. Because they do a little teaser at the end of the trailer, if you want to watch it doesn't take long, where the main character actually says something to his dog.
I'd link it, but I mean,
you can Google it. It is literally a 2-second Google.
If I still had ads on this thing, I guarantee you it would be the ad on this video.
Yep, you will see it. You will see it. But there's a little teaser at the end where he says something to his dog. Also, love having dog meat back. I love having that dog. The whole fucking setting was predicated partially on an adaptation of A Boy and His Dog. And I really fucking love that they have the dog back, because the dog in New Vegas was not good enough.
I liked him.
I did too, especially because he was a cyborg dog, and I like cyborgs.
But let's be honest, EDE was more like the dog.
Oh god, yeah, EDE. Or Eddie, excuse me.
Alright. Yeah.
That's how you pronounce that name.
That's nice.
It's actually the name's actually based off of a 50s song, Eddie My Love. That's where the name of the quest comes from.
Sure, I gathered that, and that's fine. I repaired the bot. I'm going to call it EDE.
Why?
Because that's what I thought of it as.
That's fair.
When I got it, and it's stuck in my head now. And it's a robot, it doesn't care.
No. But
so long as I pet it and give it lots of nuts and bolts to eat.
Yeah. And Eddie is a great companion. That dog, actually, so good that I just beat Fallout New Vegas again. I've only beaten it once, actually, until, yesterday.
I still haven't beaten it.
Because I'm very much a completionist when it comes to Fallout games. So I did a quick playthrough just to see the Legion ending, but then the other ending I wanted to see, because I wasn't so interested in the NCR ending. I never liked the NCR. I'm like fucking Shady Sands, I never liked Tandy. I don't like the NCR in the second game. They're dicks. I even played a character who was for the NCR, and I just lost interest in New Vegas. But I just beat it for the wild card ending, which is the ending I wanted to use. And even still, after beating it, I have to go back now and do all the tiny little content I missed, then do it again. But I'm getting off track.
Well, you're still talking about Fallout, so really that's...
But I just beat the game the other day, and I beat it in hardcore mode. One, for the achievement, two, because I like it. But it became really frustrating after a while, because I couldn't bring companions anywhere. Because those motherfuckers die pretty easy, to be honest. Especially, like, the melee ones. Veronica dies, like, in a blink. Boone's pretty tough, but Boone's kind of a douchebag. My favorite companions, though, are Eddie and either Raoul or Cass.
Eddie and... Oh, yeah, no, I got me saying it. It never fails. If you tell me that something's the correct pronunciation, my brain will go, no, we must be right, and just surreptitiously insert it into my dialogue. But him and Raoul are the two I usually took everywhere.
And
you give me the option to
hang out with Danny Trejo?
Hang out with Danny Trejo, and I'll take it. I will fucking take it. And
I love those two companions, but Cass is a beast, especially if you do her companion quest. She becomes more of a beast. Raoul is fucking not. He's good at doing damage. He's not tough. So they kept dying on me. I eventually just ended up leaving all of them in the Lucky 38.
Well, and your character by the end there was very melee focused, was he not?
No. He's actually a sniper. It's just that in the end of the game, there's a lot of motherfuckers with really, really high damage threshold and damage reduction items. And so even if I was getting perfect sniping shots off on them in VATS, I wasn't killing them. If I was like sitting and actually sniping them from across the map using, handheld stuff, then they would usually die. But if not, they would, they'd still get up on me, and my dude's not that tough.
Right.
So I got a chainsaw for when they do eventually close on me, and the chainsaw from one of the add-ons that we got for having the Ultimate Edition, it's just broke. So in the end, I ended up using it a lot because this enemy's really tough. I've outmaneuvered him and outflanked him and gotten a perfect sniping shot off on him 3 times, and he just keeps running up and stabbing me in the fucking face. So I just you know what? Fine. Take out my little pistol, fire 3 shots into the air to get his attention, back my ass into a corner, and just turn on the chainsaw forward. Come at me, bro.
Usually with Raoul and the iBot, they were dead between the 3 of us before they got close enough to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm. And it's just how it works in hardcore mode. So the reason I told that story was because I just beat the game, and I got my achievement for hardcore, and I love hardcore, but there's no challenge for it anymore because I'm so far along in the game. I have billions of monies, and I have enough water and food that I'm never going to go hungry unless I act like a complete idiot. So I just turned hardcore mode off. That way, now that I'm doing the essentially post-game, that is loading from a previous save once you beat the game to play some more, I can take my fucking companions around because they're back to being quest essential.
That's cool.
Because I want to adventure with my fucking companions. I like these guys. I want to hang out with them.
Yeah. I wish I had a lot of Fallout stories.
I do. So if we just end up having story time here, don't worry, I got it covered.
Well, let's rein it back in for a hot second. Let's go back to Fallout 4. You were saying you're intrigued about the main character having the potential of them having voice acting.
Because it's very much a departure. Up until now, Bethesda hasn't really done that.
Sure.
And Fallout's never really done that. I mean, you talk, obviously, but you're the silent protagonist. You're picking dialogue options. It's always how it's been for both Bethesda and Fallout. This is a real departure. I'm interested to see what changes it writes. What kind of dialogue will they be using? Will you be picking your dialogue option and then the guy will be saying it exactly? Will you be using a wheelie thing like BioWare et al. Have decided on doing?
Was it just something from the trailer?
Was it just something for the trailer? I mean, these are all possibilities, but I'm very intrigued because it will either fuck everything up and make it real bitch to play, or it will be amazing and I will love it. And it all comes down to, one, if it's written well, and 2, if it's voice acted well.
Yeah, like, the writing in Fallout 3 was sort of meh. But the voice acting was pretty on point. And on the other hand, the writing in Fallout New Vegas was pretty good, but the voice acting lackluster in places.
Yeah, and that's true of the old Fallout games too. Because there were select NPCs in the old Fallout games who had voice and little cinematics and stuff.
Right. Yeah, Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, Tony Shalhoub, Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
But it's... And sometimes it was good, and sometimes it fucking wasn't.
I suppose that's voice acting in general.
It's part of the reason I never liked Tandy. In Fallout 2, I just hate her voice actress.
I don't know what you're talking about.
President Tandy is the founding president of the New California Republic. She was actually an NPC that you could save in Fallout 1. She was the mayor's daughter.
I remember her.
She was really super old and the president of the NCR in Fallout 2. And I never liked her. And it's not anything, like, it's a perfectly reasonable lady, nice character. Just hate the voice actress. And I don't usually give a crap about the NCR, especially in Fallout 2, when they're down in the corner by themselves, out of my way. The only reason I ever even went to the NCR in Fallout 2 is if I was going for the secondary GEC. In that game, you have to go find the GEC for your village. There's 2 in the game. 1, you basically get if you do the quest line to kill the Enclave. It's on the last, in the last dungeon, available right there. You grab it, you kill the last boss, it's fine. There's a secondary one that's harder to get. That involves a lot of fucking weird side quests and stuff. But that's the one I usually go for. It's the only reason I go to the NCR.
Oh, okay.
Because that whole fucking corner of the map is... I go to Vault City, and that's about as far as I get. Then I go back to New Reno. And San Francisco.
You're speaking Simlish to me, but...
it's just Fallout 2 stuff.
Yeah, and what little I played, they were fun games. It's just... I'm more selective about what I spend my time playing.
No, I get it. And look, I can fully disclose that probably part of the reason I was able to blow through Fallout 2 in the course of maybe, 2-3 days?
Like 4 or 5 hours, dude.
No, because I still haven't technically beaten it. Because I was like, alright, I can go beat the game right now. And then my brain was like, but you haven't done all the side quests. Your ending cinematic will be anemic and it won't be there. And I was like, fuck, now I have to go do everything. Because I could have gone through and beaten the game in like 6 hours. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't not go do the side quests. I
feel you.
And that's partially, I'm guaranteeing, because of nostalgia.
Well, not necessarily, because for the longest time I didn't beat Fallout 3 because I hadn't finished all the stuff.
I still haven't beaten all the DLC. I beat the main quest line.
I beat the pit, and I beat...
I just hate the Mothership DLC.
I beat Mothership Zeta, that was okay.
I don't like it.
I didn't like the hallways. I was talking to the boy and a friend while I was playing through it. It was not fun to navigate. But it was like white noise while I was talking to friends, so it wasn't a huge deal.
That DLC killed it for me. I played the Pit, which was super fun.
Pit was awesome.
I started Broken Steel, but I wanted to go do the other DLCs first.
Broken Steel I never played through because I realized I didn't give a fuck. I got there and they were like, we're doing a thing, and I was like, shh, good for you.
Bitch, I got shit to do.
I could not care less about what's going on here.
And you know what? I rolled with it at the time. I did. But I believe I mentioned to you how weird it was, how helpful the Brotherhood of Steel was when I started playing Fallout 3. Because they're not helpful people, typically.
Yeah. Well, I believe, aren't they like a...
No, they're like a renegade chapter.
Yeah. Regardless, I did end up eventually beating the main quest line of Fallout 3 last year, 2 years ago, something like that.
Something like that.
After a long hiatus. And as much as I love New Vegas more, and I've said this on the podcast before ages ago, when I look back and think of all my fond memories of Fallout, I'm thinking about New Vegas.
Yep.
As much as I like that game so much better, I can't beat it.
Because there's no post-ending gameplay?
No. Here's the thing. I got so far in the main story, like, Boy doesn't remember exactly where this is, but you might, listener. There's this one little part of a side quest you have to do, part of a main story side quest, where there's some dude who's voiced by a famous voice actor in some sort of military base who gives this awesome-ass, long-ass speech. And it's basically a decision-making turning point for your character. And I did that. That was the last thing I remember doing. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Like, I let that game get cold.
And so you'd have to roll an entirely new character.
Yeah, I'd have to roll an entirely new character, and I remember playing that game enough that
it would be annoying.
It would be the same character. I've tried to roll different characters, and it's like, no, this all sucks.
To be fair, the character I ran, who was basically an NCR loyal dude, I ended up having him as a cowboy. He used revolver action, lever action rifles. I got the cowboy perk. He used knives. He was a cowboy. He ended up doing a lot of sniping with his lever action rifle. When I played the secondary character, who I was going to do the wild card ending with, basically started as the exact same fucking character, build-wise.
Well, and that's me in Fallout, really, because in Fallout 3, and that's me in most fucking games where you give me the option, I play the sniper. I like to kill things before they're even near me. Mass Effect, Fallout, whatever. I pick the sniper. It's why in games like Team Fortress and shit like that, I'm always stunned that I don't like the sniper characters.
That's because they're not sniper characters. It's because for game balance reasons, they can't be as ridiculous as sniper characters can be in a single-player game. For me, it's not really... Like, I picked sniper in Fallout New Vegas because, one, I mean, maybe because there's a fucking sniper in the opening cinematic and it looked really cool. I'm not above that sort of thing. I'm going to be a bit... but it was very effective. Like, the gun tree was really effective. It was really easy to get points in. Guns were very easy to find early, whereas energy weapons kind of aren't. And which is perfectly normal for a Fallout game. I'm not saying it's not. But it was also super, like I said, it was super effective. And it's cool, it's fun. The mechanics are pretty good. And I know you have issues with those, and I do want to get into them.
Yeah, definitely.
But... For me, I'm not usually a sniper guy in Fallout games, because I'm used to the old ones where that fucking just largely doesn't work. There are sniper rifles, and you can use them, but your enemies will close on you at some point, and then you're fucked. What I usually end up playing is either, like, really, really heavy weapons people in Fallout 2, and to a lesser extent Fallout 1. Or I will just make ridiculous energy weapons guys. And that's harder to get a hold of at the beginning of the game, but I like the top end of energy weapons a little better.
I just can't get into it myself. I've tried.
Into it's a very different thing. Like, because they have the same guns, but they since it's a turn-based game and it's isometric, it's a very different feel.
Sure.
Or I'll just make a ridiculous troll melee build and end up punching people to death in one hit, which is always fun.
You know, there was a period in Fallout 3 where I played someone with a power fist, and that was really satisfying.
Yeah, that power fist, super sledges, that sort of thing did not get less satisfying. That shit is still cool.
But it's just like melee is so... Let's just go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, do the thing.
Because it's going to come up in this discussion. Okay. Let me start with a preface, because I'm going to have to, otherwise the ball will be unstoppable. Not from you, from Ultimo and his ilk. I like and respect Fallout's special and like traits system. Mm-hmm. Your skill points and all that shit.
It's fucking GURPS.
Yeah, well, it's GURPS. I'm not really a GURPS guy, personally.
It was originally literally GURPS.
Oh, yeah,
they couldn't get the agreement, so they reskinned it.
GURPS dropped out. But, I'm not a fan of GURPS pen and paper style, but I respect that you have an attribute system, so on and so forth. And especially when you're playing an isometric game, that's fine. It's turn-based combat. there's no measure of skill involved in clicking the guy and going, all right, shoot this motherfucker.
Yeah. The skill is in placement, proper use of your actions, your ability to move and shoot, and tactics of where your lines of fire are and stuff. It's not in the twitch reflexes of aiming a gun.
Which in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, they have that ability, that style carried over in the VATS system.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I mostly use VATS.
Well, and, so did I. It was a lot easier on things. But then after a while, I was like, this is boring. It's just like, hey, some enemies are here. Push the button.
I usually don't use VATS for melee, but with guns, it's just that's Fallout.
Well, yeah, with melee, it's... Melee and VATS they're bad. It even, looks awful. Visually.
Yeah, it's clearly not what it was designed for.
No. But, here's the problem, because of the way the skill system works, even if you're free aiming that shit, your skills go into effect. This frustrates me, because while I am certainly not MLG Pro 360 no-scope, I don't think I've ever actually done a 360 no-scope, but I do a lot of bull true sort of shit. I'm pretty fucking good at aiming a gun. When we play games where it keeps track of shots fired and shots hit, I'm good.
He's got a high accuracy rating. Also runs away a lot. He's really like Mayweather in that respect. High accuracy, runs away a lot.
I typically play snipers. I have no business being up in your face. I'm going to shoot my one bullet and then be like, all right. And I get out my long rod to pump the powder back down in. I'm going to get you with this second one.
So it's time to run now while you do this.
Yeah, fuck. But, whereas in games like the first two Army of Two games and Mass Effect, and to a slightly lesser extent Halo and other, actual proper first-person shooters, I have the practice of aiming a fucking reticle at something, hitting it exactly in the sweet spot, and blowing a motherfucker's head clean off. Skyrim even. Now, its damage system is based on...
Yeah, because that's not the same.
It's not quite the same, but at least...
Because, you know what? You can be the most accurate motherfucker in the world. I say this because, actually, that's something I wanted to bring up. In games with guns, I'm not usually a sniper character. In games, fantasy games, I fucking love archers. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. And I'm actually really good at physics engine stuff insofar as aiming a bow in a video game goes.
Sure. Oh, it's satisfying in Skyrim, too.
Because I'm good at determining the arc and making long-range shots. I would make these ridiculous shots in Skyrim, but I was low level, so it just took a little tiny sliver of health. And I shot this dude in the face, in the eyeball, from 200 meters away, which was an amazing shot, but because I'm level 2 and this thing's level 15, and it's a troll, it's just a little tiny sliver of health. All I did was piss it off, so it comes and murders me. And its health is completely back in 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's... I'm happier about that than what Fallout does. And what Fallout does is I can hit said troll directly in the face, or super mutant, if you will, with nothing but my own reflexes and aiming skill, and unload an entire magazine from a semi-automatic rifle at full distance directly into its face, not missing a single shot, physically, but the game rolls some dice in the background and I didn't hit it once. I would rather hit it and do 1 damage and go, oh god, that thing is tough, than be like, aha, I have done my personal best, and I can clearly see the result of that in my projectiles colliding with the thing I'm trying to hit, right where I want them to hit, but it says I didn't.
Whereas for me, I'd rather just miss. I would rather just miss than hit a perfect shot and do no damage. I would rather it just not be a thing that I ended up hitting, because the game says that my character isn't actually good enough to make that shot. I need to get the character on my level, as it were.
I suppose. It just makes the beginning section so frustrating. And there again with Melee, I mean, there was a character, it may have even been my New Vegas character, who was Colt Regan if Colt Regan were bisexual. I didn't add that intentionally, did not create this character that way, but I got to New Vegas proper and realized that I was toting around a shotgun and a revolver and
He had white hair and a handlebar mustache, and...
Well, no, actually, at that time, I just had blonde hair, but I had the duster. And I was like, let's just go get some white hair and a handlebar mustache. Let's just complete the look there. His name was Buddy, so clearly I had no intentions of actually making him Colt Regan, but...
And then eventually he was like, I guess I'm just playing Colt Regan.
The weirdly bisexual Colt Regan. But, at one point during my playthrough, when I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with this character, I was like, well, let's fuck around. Let's just make him melee for a little while and see what happens. You can't do that.
I mean, you can, but, like...
But you gotta go back to level 1 and fight some boars.
No, I did it. You mentioned my character ended up being melee near the end. Because at the end of the game...
okay, and you got the super epic double chainsaw. I didn't have that shit.
Well, even without the chainsaw, I made that my thing. Every level, I just dumped all my points into melee. I would use my guns as necessary until I got my melee skill up to par. You can't do it on a whim, but you can switch. Because by the end, I had 100 guns, 100 melee. I could do either one.
Sure.
But that's because I started that character with a 10 intelligence. Because, look, real talk. Unless you're making a troll build, 10 intelligence. Skill points are really, really important in all the Fallout games. The fuck are you doing? Get the most skill points you can.
Oh, the other Fallout 3 DLC, the Swamp Hippie.
Yeah, I did that one too.
Yeah, I did that too.
Fucking hate that DLC.
I liked it.
I liked it from a storyline perspective. I loved the aesthetic. I hate those fucking hillbilly enemies.
Oh, yeah, gameplay-wise, because they jacked up their armor and shit so high.
They have ridiculous
armor. Make them artificially difficult.
They have ridiculous armor, huge hit points, and basically always ignore armor. I have the best non-power armor in the game. Highest damage reduction, highest damage threshold, non-power armor in the game in Fallout 3. Basically, I might as well have been wearing tissue paper, because they always ignore armor, almost.
Well, and it was even worse for me, because I was wearing that tree armor. Mm-hmm. So, I was wearing tissue paper.
It's just, oh god, I fucking hate those things. And what's worse is I wasn't a sniper in Fallout 3. I went with a machine gun sort of build.
In 3, I was a sniper. With a backup machine gun, yeah.
The major gun I would use was...
5.56 ammo, whatever the fucking gun was.
Yeah, the major gun I would use is the Chinese assault rifle, the AK-47. And I was really good with that thing. But... because those things have such ridiculous damage reduction, and it's a machine gun, so each individual shot doesn't do much damage. The damage is on, total. Each individual shot gets damage reduction applied to it separately. So I was basically fucking chipping at these things while running backwards in a circle the entire time. It sucked.
Yeah, that was lazy. I like my character.
Deathclaws are a much more honest challenge.
My melee weapon was a Deathclaw hand.
Deathclaws are a much more honest challenge. They're tough, they're fast, they have a lot of hit points, but of course they do. They're giant murder monsters, not some fucking wrong turn hillbilly.
Yeah, that kind of wonked with immersion a little bit.
When my character can literally, in Fallout 3, walk right up to a Deathclaw, unload a clip in his face, and have it dead before it reaches him from 5 feet away, but I have to use 4 clips to kill a hillbilly? No. No, you've broken my immersion game. That's bad game design.
I agree with you. I have no additional comments there.
But, honestly speaking, I love the games. All the Fallout games, the 2 generations, have very different mechanics, obviously. I love those games because of their stories. And
yeah, they're really fun. They have a lot of really cool characters, a lot of really cool moments,
Fucking love that setting.
It's a good setting.
So much so that I bastardized it and used it as the sauce, which I used to cover the general flavor of Stephen King in a Dark Tower adaptation game I ran for White and Brandy. It was a little wacky sounding, but I think I did a good job.
Yeah, it kind of worked in the end.
I love the Fallout setting. I love the amazing satire of over-the-top patriotism and jingoism. It's great.
Yeah, it is.
I love the narrative of over-reliance on authority causing problems, and
If I may, I think there is one thing, and this is really more from the last 2 Fallout games, but maybe it was in the first 2, I don't know. I get kind of tired of everything always being secretly evil.
What do you mean?
Fallout 3, especially. But like the thing with the tower in Fallout 3 and the what do you call them? Ghouls?
Oh, you know what? I'm not a fan of that either. That's not to say it's. I mean, that's Fallout. That's how that works.
Is it just Fallout? Like the first couple times I saw that sort of thing, it was like, okay, this is. If there's noise in the background, we just got the cats in a scratch pad, and they are going to fucking town. But, like when I went to the one village, and they were all secretly cannibals. They're all secretly cannibals, that's funny. But they're all super nice and 50s people. That's hilarious.
Which is the theme of ugliness lurking under a
sure.
beautiful exterior. That's very much Fallout.
But that works better as like a situational thing as opposed to it being everything. Because when it's everything, it's just
well, I wouldn't
tired.
say it's everything. It's just that's a major theme.
when it is a major theme, I guess. I mean, in something that is that expansive.
Yeah, I would say the thing with Tenpenny Tower is probably as far as it got, though, because
and that was kind of my breaking point, where I was like, "Really, for fuck's sake!"
And that's a step beyond what Fallout usually does, because typically in Fallout, when you try and get people to see past, the problems, the visual problems that ghouls bring and bring people together, that ends well for you. It ends well in Broken Hills. Broken Hills doesn't end up ending well, but that's after the player character's there in Fallout 2. It ends pretty well in the hub and various other places. Getting people to see past the problems, the physical problems people have up front, people who look different, that sort of thing. Getting people to stop prejudging others based on their appearance and work together to help rebuild the wasteland usually ends up working well for you, which is why they do the subversion at Tenpenny Tower. More than just to fuck with people, it's to fuck with old Fallout players.
Well, but for me,
and upset their expectations.
It just became tired. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I like it as a thing, but I'd seen so much of it in Fallout 3 by that point, I was like, really? For fuck's sake. Like, by the time I got to Agatha and brought back her violin, I was pretty sure she, had killed and eaten her husband, and...
Well, the Brotherhood of Steel's perfectly fine. Like, they're not secretly evil in 3.
Oh, I was going to say.
Well, they're not secretly evil in New Vegas.
I don't even know if you can call them evil. They have an agenda.
I call Father Elijah evil.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, and they have an agenda. That I'm actually very happy about that. In New Vegas, that's the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah.
Not the weird, we love America, we are protecting the common people. They're called paladins. That's not what they do. Brotherhood of Steel paladins are here to find your laser rifle, take it from you, and punch you in the face. You don't get to have a laser rifle. You're not cool enough to have a laser rifle.
It'd be nice if there was a crash course in Fallout sort of thing in these games. Because usually what they do is give you an info dump. And that's tiresome, tedious. I think New Vegas handled it a little bit better in that the info dumps they were player activated info dumps.
Tell me about the thing.
Yeah. And then Felicia Day would be like, oh, look, the Brotherhood of Steel is this. But even still, there are better ways to do things. Like, I'm sure Arcade Ganon's a really fucking interesting guy, but
You just don't give a shit about the followers of the apocalypse?
I have a hard time paying attention while all you're doing is info dumping me. It's that show don't tell mentality. And, I mean, we're nitpicking. They're great games, whatever. They were full of bugs, but they're great games. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, we could nitpick, or I could just literally tell funny stories about Fallout.
Or gush. I mean, one time I blew a guy's head clean off. And it sailed right into a rad scorpion, and the rad scorpion ran away with it. Oh my god!
More like how fun it was to run into the Knights of the Round Table from Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail in Fallout 2.
And as we're winding down here, if we could, and since you've done a bit more of the talking through this, talk about some of your favorite parts of the series. you have more experience, and I'm sure I'll be done quicker. So do you mind?
Yeah, go first.
Okay.
I don't care.
I really like exploring in Fallout. Even more than I like exploring in games like Skyrim. I like that I have the option to explore, but I stick to the roads. In Fallout, there aren't really roads. I mean, there kind of are, but they're no more or less safe than anything. Because raiders stick to the roads too, you dumb fucker. Rad scorpions don't care what you've paved. Giant fire-breathing ants similarly disinclined to give a shit. So I go as the crow flies in Fallout a hell of a lot more when it allows me to than I do in Skyrim or those sorts of games. And the weird little places you run across and the weird little side quests you start, getting into the vaults and like unraveling the little mysteries and finding out what happens at the end, those are always really fun for me. And just that sense of my exploration being rewarded is really great. I think that's something that Fallout 3 did really well outside of the city. Like actual DC where there are buildings and shit. If there was any part of Fallout 3 I hated, it was the way that fucking area was mapped.
Well, also, it's filled with really, really tough, shitty enemies.
And it's all, like, the same fucking terrain. I mean, Fallout is bad about that in general, but that city was just an eyesore.
I think it was meant to be a place you didn't want to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You don't want to go to DC. DC is shit. Don't go there. It's awful there. That way, you know, when you have to go there for some reason, it's like, oh, fuck, do I have to?
And the exception to my rule of all of my best memories of Fallout come from Fallout New Vegas, Moira Brown.
Gosh darn, but that's a good character.
Oh my god. Loved her to death.
Whole reason I could never actually bring myself to bomb Megaton. I know she survives as a ghoul, but no.
It's not the same.
Moira's there. Why would I? My character wouldn't know that, and Moira is adorable.
Shh, don't mind, BB. I'm a reverse pickpocket some glasses and a cute outfit onto you. Put it on. I'm here to buy your wares. Hey, bodyguard. If this were Skyrim, I'd put a bucket on your head. Oh! Alright, but I'm sure you have many more stories of awesome...
Well, all my stories actually boil down to the same simple point. One of the things I really loved about the Fallout games is how impactful they made you feel. In a lot, I mean, that's basically the point of a lot of role-playing games is, you know, the character comes in, solves everyone's problems, or makes them worse, or whatever you've decided to do, and goes on his merry way. And while that is the point of most role-playing games, Fallout does it exceptionally well. Always has. The games always make you feel impactful, whether the old generation or the new generation. It feels like things are turning on your dime. The only real limit is what you are capable of and what you think you can get away with. I really enjoy that. I enjoy the karma system because it doesn't necessarily penalize you for being a shithead. It's just shitheads are going to find you more good to be around because you're a shithead. Non-shitheads won't. And you've developed something of a reputation as a shithead or non-shithead. The only thing it ever really penalized you for was murdering kids. It did used to penalize you pretty harshly for that. They made kids unkillable in the new generation, which I can understand. I'm a little annoyed by it, but not much, because I never killed kids anyway. Not because, you know, in video games I have some sort of moral, you know, righteousness around killing virtual children. I really don't. They don't exist. They're fictional. Whatever. It's more that in Fallout, if you killed a kid, nobody fucking dealt with you anymore. You got a special perk that meant nobody fucking deals with you anymore. You're scum. Everyone hates you. Which I really like that they left the option open, though.
Would you like to be scum? Wyan? That's something I'm kind of sad that never really got thicker in Skyrim. You can be a prominent member of the Assassin's Guild, or you can be the Chosen of Namira, and people don't... Guards might whisper a little special piece of dialogue, but nobody really cares.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck. In the Fallout games, people give a fuck. If you're a bright and shining beacon of justice, people care. People care. People will trust you. People will give you gifts. Some people will try and murder you because you're fucking harshing their mellow, bro. And I love that. I love how impactful it makes you feel. When you're a shithead, and when you're trying to make everything bad. When I went through Fallout New Vegas, or my Legion playthrough, did my best to make every NCR settlement shitty. Made sure to ruin their quests if possible. Took them and did the worst possible ending that made everyone sad. Demoralized them. Every time I killed NCR people, I made a point to mutilate their corpses. 'Cause fuck you. True to Caesar. I did my best to be an absolute bastard on that playthrough. And it worked. People, the people who knew who recognized who I was, fucking hated me. And it showed. They wouldn't give me quests. They wouldn't deal with me. They would attack me on sight. And it wasn't just people, you killed my brother or you killed part of my faction. It was unrelated people who just happened to know I was a douchebag. I love that. When I played through as a bright and shiny beacon of NCR justice, people who liked the NCR, loved me. People who didn't like the NCR, not so fucking much.
That was something fun to play around with in the Fallout games, and I never really got to experience much of it. I played like a revolving force of justice. And I don't necessarily mean good. I think I was like true neutral all the way in both of my playthroughs. My tree guy was... I called him that. His name was Lucky. He had the tree armor at the end, and that was like the last thing I wore, so tree guy. But like he went around and he took care of things for people, but he would also get his. And he had no compunctions about screwing people over if it served the greater good or his personal needs. So, Buddy, the Colt Regan character, was a little more of a force for good, but...
As Colt Regan is.
He had to do a lot of dirty things to make good things happen, and he was more fond of pragmatism over...
Idealism.
Yeah, so a lot of times it was like, alright, we need to get this thing, but this lady who's really important is in the way. She's a human being. Do you value human life? I'm gonna just shoot her.
There! Now nobody's in the way.
Yeah, no, she's a bitch anyway. Look at all these bad things she did. I'm looking at her documents now. She didn't know that beforehand. Well, we know it now.
All's well that ends well, I say.
Now let's take the thing and get it. Oh, look at all these people with guns. Sounds like a perfect time to try out my new anti-material rifle.
And people would react to that. They even react if you're somewhat sketchy but somewhat cool. I also like how much the setting turns on the actions of previous player characters. The Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls games actually is a great example of not this. Your player character's actions in Morrowind, Oblivion, and so on. Just Morrowind and Oblivion. I don't really have any experience with any of the ones before that. Don't really affect so much. You don't really see much of what happens in much of the fallout from the Morrowind game in Oblivion, and by the time Skyrim comes around, that island's fucking gone.
Well, it's there. It's just...
a giant volcano.
Yeah.
In Skyrim, your character's actions in Oblivion are largely pointless. I mean, you did the main quest, and they recognize that you did the main quest, but the setting doesn't really appear to be impacted by what you may or may not have done, and they don't pick a canon ending for a lot of the stuff. Like, the Mages Guild or Fighters Guild is no better or worse whether or not, there's no mention of what the main character may have done. There's no mention of the Dark Brotherhood benefiting or being harmed by the actions of the main character in those games. In Fallout, that's not the case. The Vault Dweller from Fallout 1 basically helped form the NCR. And that is very much a central part of the setting come New Vegas. The Chosen One in Fallout 2 crushed the Enclave, and that's very much a part of the setting in Fallout 3. They had to flee east. And very much a setting of New Vegas, because you see the remnants of the Enclave. In in these games, what you do has a very large impact on the subsequent games. Even secondary quests you can take take part in, because forming the NCR is a side quest in Fallout 1. Helping Shady Sands is a side quest. Helping the NCR in Fallout 2 is a side quest. But canonically, the player character in those games did them. And they make that important. So even having played the previous games, you feel impactful starting a new game because you see the impact you made in the previous games if you played them. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the prototype of what eventually became Dragon Age's Keep.
Yep.
Where your player characters and your decisions have a very fucking visible impact on the world and your game.
And Dragon Age iterated on and improved the idea by making it so that it's specifically your character. Yeah. They don't pick a canon ending and go with that. No, what you did matters.
And I think those are all nice choices, all three of them, just for different reasons.
Yeah, and I would say they're nice choices too. I happen to really like Fallout's take on it.
I like Elder Scrolls' take because it lets you kind of fill in the blanks. You know, it seems in the next game, it feels like you had a lot less agency over the setting. You know, a lot less impact on the setting and a lot less control over the outcomes. But at the same time, you don't have to go, oh, I didn't do that in my playthrough.
Yeah,
honestly, if we have to pick one, if the team is willing to put forth the effort, good God, the Keep.
Do the Keep.
Yeah, that's so fucking amazing. I would absolutely love if I could have picked up Skyrim and people would have been telling tales of my character and what he did in Oblivion.
Yeah, that would have been fucking cool. Actually, that's another thing that that BioWare has taken and run with, and I don't know that they stole, because I think they were doing something similar back then too, is like an Inquisition at the very end, that ending cinematic where they tell you what happens and what goes on for the next little while and how everyone ends up and all that. That's very much a Fallout thing. That's how the ending cinematics in those games go. You know, you helped these people. You impacted them. Here's what they do from here on out.
Oh, yeah.
And I always enjoyed those. And, I mean, I could go on and on about the various tiny things that you do in the various games that help you feel like you're making a fucking difference. That you're either making the Wasteland better or worse, but you're making a difference. You are important. All my favorite memories from Fallout are centered around that feeling. Or being real fucking funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny stuff there, too. Usually I'm just a horrible cannibal force of justice. I just try to right wrongs and tip my hat.
And eat people.
Yeah. Only bad people. I don't go around like, clubbing shop owners or something.
No, they sell you stuff.
Yeah, but like raiders, fuck it. Lunch, that's what I call them.
You know what?
I want to play as a raider. Like, I'm sure, I'm fucking 1,000-fold that's not what Fallout 4 is. I would love a Fallout where you're a raider. Even if you, turn around and you escape and you're not the raider lifestyle, I want that shit.
I don't know about Fallout 3 or New Vegas, but I think there's a couple expansions for Fallout 2 that do that.
I've heard, but, I want that.
You want it in the current,
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, that would be cool. And, yeah. I mean, you can kind of be a raider.
Yeah, you can kind of. Maybe...
You can dress like a raider, wait for caravans to come by in New Vegas, hit them.
Maybe that's what my Fallout... Well, but all the other raiders are always mean to you. I can't get, a posse.
Yeah, well, that's a party-sized thing.
I'd even be okay with having the two-man party just be other raiders for my raider posse. Or have it be like that thing you could get in Oblivion, where once you were, the head of the Assassin's Guild, you had assassin minions. I'd be cool with that too. You could take over a raider thing and become a raider chieftain.
Head of the Black Snakes or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Lock off a lot of the game from you.
Probably. I don't know. Whatever. I think it'd be something cool to explore. If they went in with it as part of the main idea and not an afterthought, they could do it.
Yeah. I mean, shit, in New Vegas, they easily could have made it so you could take over the Great Khans.
Yeah, I was really disappointed that there wasn't more Great Khan shit. I think that's another reason I stopped playing. I got to the Great Khan stuff and was like, oh, this is...
It's good to see the cons again. They've been very much a part of the setting.
This is ending. This is just shitty.
Yeah, like the cons, like their lot in life is just to get shit on.
Yeah.
They've gotten shit on so much.
I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to continue. I think, I actually got a hold of Lucky again and realized what I was supposed to be doing. Got to the great cons and went, fuck it.
This is depressing.
This is just, I don't know. I'm gonna go play something uplifting, like the end of Mass Effect 3.
Burn.
Yeah. Not that I thought it was a bad ending, just that it's...
Sad.
Yeah, sad. Bittersweet. But I think that's enough Fallout for now. I'm sure we'll gab about it more when the game's actually out.
Oh, fully expect that, listener. Expect me to come on here and just jaw your ear off about how great it is. Or how terrible it is.
Or how many bugs it has.
Most likely that last one.
I hope they're good Skyrim bugs, though. I hope a super mutant launches me into the fucking sky.
Not shitty Fallout bugs.
No, not New Vegas
sometimes
bugs.
Your game just crashes and never gets... You have to start a new save.
3 wasn't as bad, but New Vegas, my God.
New Vegas was a buggy fucking game.
I had to stop playing it because the fucking doors might not open. Ever.
But yeah, I hope it's good Skyrim bugs. I hope, oh shit, it's a rad scorpion. Oh, I can't let it sting me. Why? It's rad scorpions. They're not that badass. You're like level 10. Not until they patch that shit. Why? Sting, and then you not even die. You just, go shooting backwards 100 yards.
Did your character's bones just melt? Yeah, I don't... It, desyncs the internal skeleton and...
And then, you know that thing that happens to ragdolls when they lose where their limbs are supposed to be attached and they get all stretchy and weird? That happens. That's a bug I want. Put that in there. And then patch it out.
Yeah, okay.
Just you gotta give us something to laugh at. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
But one way or another, you will hear about it. Trust me. And it'll be better. Because everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Except for war. War is never better.
Fuck it, let's get hardcore! Blood, pain, we're all insane. Suffer head trauma, destroy our brains.